Members of the military are at risk of losing their careers, their livelihood, for behavior that is often not even a crime in the civilian system. That's why you need to know the facts. You need to know your options, and you need the help of experts when facing military justice.
Welcome to Military Justice. I'm your host, Jim Buchanan. Our guest today is Jonathan Crisp, who is a trial attorney specializing in military law at Crisp and Associates. Welcome, Jonathan. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
How can a loss of security clearance affect military personnel?
There are the most obvious ways it's going to impact a service member is a loss of a job, and quite frankly, they're going to get dismissed from the service if they're unable to either reclass or if they're unable to obtain a different branch. So, the most simple thing is they're going to lose their job.
And then what's the first thing that you should do when you've been told that you've lost your security clearance?
Obviously, you're going to get notice as to the alleged deficiency. What you're going to want to do is contact someone, and normally it's an attorney who is experienced in handling these things, so that they can help you collect information and evidence that's going to be responsive to the alleged deficiency. So, for example, if you have a DUI in your past that you didn't disclose or that indicates some concerns for the adjudicator, you're going to want to show that you've done things like rehabilitation, that it's remote in time. There are a number of factors which we can talk about, but that's the biggest thing you want to do is be responsive quickly.
And then when you go through all that, how likely is it that you'll get reinstated?
Right. So as I said, there's about 10 factors they're going to look at. They're going to look at the remoteness in time of the offense. They're going to look at the age that you were at the time, the voluntariness of your participation, whether it subjected you to coercion, duress, and the steps you took for rehabilitation. So the greater likelihood is going to be dictated by those factors that you're able to establish and say, listen, this was a one-time thing, this was not an ongoing event, and I disclosed and was voluntary in my participation.
Are there different types of security clearances?
There certainly are. There are three, and there's some. You're starting at a confidential, and then you're looking at secret and top secret. A lot of people get confused. They think of a public trust as a clearance. It is not. You do certainly have an investigation involving public trust, but it is not an actual clearance level.
Now, does your firm only handle active military personnel or everyone?
We handle civilian as well as military personnel at all levels.
All right. And when you're filling out a questionnaire, then what are some of the things you should disclose and what things you should not disclose?
It's pretty simple. What we tell individuals is disclose, disclose, disclose. In other words, don't hide, don't try and obfuscate, don't try and dance around issues. So you tell them everything.
Honesty the best policy.
Exactly.
Now, what about if you have debt? Maybe a previous criminal conviction, maybe even underage drinking at college. How does that work?
And we've seen everything. We've seen everything from debt issues to just that, to minor underage drinking issues. Again, if you're trying to hide that, it's going to be more problematic because it's going to show up. And when it does show up, not only do you have that problem, but then you have your problem of integrity. So how do I prove after you've already lied to me that you're an honest guy, right? So if you're open about it up front, you stand a much better chance of retaining or obtaining a security clearance. And those are the things that are really going to weigh in your favor.
Well, that brings up the next question. What if you do have, that you have something in your past that is of questionable conduct? Should you even at that point say, I'm not even going to move forward here with this application?
Good question, because we've had what I would consider an extreme example recently where we were able to obtain a clearance for an individual who had a felony conviction in his history from 20 years ago for embezzlement type behavior, and then he got into additional financial difficulties 15 years after that, and we were able to show that one, he had a remote conviction, but what he did in the present case with his debt was responsive to it. He didn't hide it, he was addressing it, and he took steps to make sure that it wasn't a continuing problem, and we were successful.
And then what do adjudicators consider when determining stability for that clearance?
They're going to look at a number of factors, and they all center around integrity, honesty, character, things like that. So if you can establish them, then they're going to be much more comfortable in granting you a clearance.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Jonathan, thank you very much. Always good advice. Thanks for watching Military Justice. If you're interested in learning more about today's topic, go to mymilitarylawyers.com. Remember, you need to know the facts, you need to know your options, and you need the help of experts when facing military justice.